Hi, I'm Ted Spalding. I'm a Georgia personal injury trial attorney, and I'm not here to sell you anything. I want to talk today about when hiring a lawyer kills your payout in a personal injury case. So there's two reasons that hiring a lawyer can kill your personal injury case, and therefore you probably don't need to hire an attorney. So let's talk about the first one. The first one is when you're not really hurt, okay? And what do I mean by that? That means you've gone at best ER, maybe a couple of weeks of physical therapy, everything turned out to be muscle related and you're doing well. I would still give it another, I tell people 30 days, make sure the pain doesn't come back. At that point, a case like that, you're not really hurt in the sense that you've got permanent injuries, you've got injuries that are going to take months and months of treatment, possibly shots, possibly MRIs, maybe even surgery. Those are the cases you need attorneys on. A case like I just described, you really don't. And the main reason is what I look at when I'm trying to advise people, do they really need to hire me or not when they call in with a potential case? And what I tell them is lawyers should be there to bring value. Lawyers are always going to be able to get a higher offer from an insurance company than lay people are. But when it's a small case, the math still doesn't make sense. We may be able to get 2-3 times the number you're able to get, but you're having to pay the attorney for that. And when the numbers are small, therefore the money that the lawyer is getting at the end of the day, you're still banking what for pain and suffering, what you would have got if you handled the case on your own without a lawyer. So why hire the lawyer? The lawyer needs to be bringing value, meaning at the end of the day, you're getting all the treatment you need, you get your bills paid, and the money in your pocket for the pain and suffering and grief and inconvenience and everything you went through, lost wages, all of that should be more than what would have been in your pocket if you handled it on your own. In small cases, the ones where you don't have a lot of treatment because you weren't severely hurt, it's very hard to get those margins up high enough where it actually means the lawyer brought value to the case. So that's the first time you're not really going to need a lawyer. And if you hire a lawyer, it will actually kill your payout, because the payout really truthfully is the payout to you at the end of the day after everybody else has been paid, not the top dollar amount of the settlement, meaning the money that comes in with that nice check, because attorneys are getting paid, expenses are getting paid, you're paying back health insurance or liens for treatment, then you're getting money for your pain and suffering. After all of that, it has got to be worth it. Now, once the case is surgical, months and months of treatment, the numbers are bigger. Multipliers therefore stack up. When you're talking $30,000 times 3, so 3 times higher, that's $90,000. That's a big value difference in paying the lawyer on that $90,000 versus you taking 30 means more in your pocket with the lawyer. So that's the kind of math that we're talking about. So low injury cases probably don't need an attorney. The other one, and this one's a little bit more difficult, is there's no insurance coverage. And why do I say it's a little bit more difficult? Well, it's a little more difficult because my biggest pitch to people pre-suit is lawyers bring the most value in 2 ways. And the first one is they know insurance and know where to look to pull in all available insurance policies. And I call it the ball field. You're making the ball field that you're playing on as large as possible, meaning there's X amount of dollars available for your claim. You want that number to be way more than what you need that way, or what your value of your case is. That way you know you're getting full compensation. Well, if there's no insurance, and truly there's no insurance, there is no point in hiring a lawyer. You don't have a case that you're going to be able to pursue. And I hate having to tell people this when it ends up happening. It's rare, but it does happen. Believe it or not, especially in auto wreck cases, there are people driving around without auto coverage. They're out there. Number 2, there's people driving other people's vehicles that are named excluded drivers on the policy. What does that mean? Well, son takes mom's vehicle. Mom, to keep her policy rates lower, excluded her son from her vehicle, telling the insurance company, I'm never going to let him drive my vehicle. Son takes mom's vehicle out, gets into a head-on collision with someone. Well, guess what? There's not going to be any insurance coverage. He's an excluded driver. Mom should not have allowed him to drive that vehicle. Now, you say, well, God, isn't that unfair? And now isn't mom liable? Yes, probably so. But here's the point. If there's no insurance, what are you pursuing? You have to pursue the young man and his mother personally only, meaning outside of insurance. Now you're talking personal assets, and I have dealt with this since the day I started practicing almost 20 years ago. It is still, even with the reforms that were placed around the time of the market crash and the property real estate crash in the 2010 timeframe, bankruptcy is very easy to file and to avoid most creditors, especially what's called judgment creditors. So a judgment is what you would go and pursue. Yes, you have a case. I've had cases where I have to tell people, look, your case is worth $500,000, probably to a jury. I could probably get you a nice piece of paper called a judgment that says you are owed $500,000 from the young man and his mother. Here you are. Here's your piece of paper that allows you to use the sheriff to go get your money. Now you have to go pursue those two. Well, son, who's young, is going to be easily bankruptable, so they'll certainly file for son, and then it gets wiped out. They say, hey, he doesn't have anything. Judgment gone. Vacated, bankrupt, dismissed. You don't have anything you can pursue against it. Mom, a little bit harder, but most people have mortgages, loans on vehicles, so you can't just grab their car, sell it to get your money. You can't sell their house, foreclose on it because the bank's going to get paid first. And with all that debt, they easily can show the court, bankruptcy court, they have more debt than they do income, and therefore they're bankruptable. And then bankruptcy wipes out all regular creditors, which you would be. You'd be a judgment creditor, but you fall below mortgages and all these other people. Wipe out the debt as to mom. I have had a case where my client got a $40,000 judgment early in my career, and this is when I first kind of got sideways with the law and how easy this is. This gentleman had a $300,000+ house at the time. This is back in the late 2000s. Had a Mercedes free and clear and had a decent paying job. Had a couple credit card bills and those sorts of things. Bankruptcy filed to avoid my client's $40,000 judgment, so he couldn't go get the Mercedes, those sorts of things. I thought, there's no way they're going to wipe out this debt. This is clearly just to avoid the judgment. Justice will prevail. Nope, wiped it out. Even better, he got to keep his house by reaffirming the debt, the mortgage debt, and got to keep his Mercedes. And my client got zero. Judgment dismissed, gone, bankruptcy wiped it out. So it is really nasty. It's why I tell people, especially in the auto wreck realm, that it's all about insurance. If there's not insurance anywhere, there is really not going to be anything to pursue. And I used to joke about it at the time. This was before he ran to be president, is I would say, look, unless it's Donald Trump that hits you and causes you injury, there's no point in pursuing them, what I say personally, meaning their personal assets outside of insurance. They're not going to have it. Most of us have debt and loans and mortgages and everything else. It's just not going to happen. It's the worst thing I have to tell people, especially injury victims, because it's not their fault. It's Russian roulette. Who hit you? How much coverage they have? Do they have any coverage? And then, of course, do you have coverage? So in the auto realm, this is why I tell people and preach it so often when I finally get to tell people what this is. coverage is so important. It protects you in the auto industry from people who are driving with no insurance or too little insurance. It ensures that you have a safety net. A lot of people don't know what is. They just know it's going to raise their premiums and that sort of thing. Well, I don't need it. No, that's there to protect you, not liability wise, but if you get hit by someone else. What if they only had $25,000 in coverage or zero? They're an excluded driver. Now your would kick in. But in a case where we find no liability insurance coverage from the at-fault party and no coverage, client didn't get any, I'm so sorry, there's not going to be anything to pursue. So that's the other way. Hiring a lawyer then at that point kills your payout because there isn't going to be a payout. So really tough stuff when it comes to that. It's why I tell people get coverage, get add-on coverage, and get as much as you can afford. It protects you and your family. Really, really, really important. Well, I want to thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, I want you to go on our YouTube channel and look at some of our other videos. We've got a lot there for you to see and look at, and hopefully you can watch some of my other videos, give you some important tips and tricks on various aspects of personal injury and auto car wreck law. Thank you.